Hello and welcome everyone to episode 43 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, what's going on? I'm Brandon Bovia, the English letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8. I'm doing the mental math. There's something I think I can talk about by the time this comes out, but I'm gonna play it safe.
That's probably a smart idea.
I got something cool coming up. Please look forward to it.
Yeah, there you go. Perfectly said. Please look forward to it. I love it. But man, welcome to the falling action portion of the Alabasta arc.
Yeah, seriously. It feels surreal to have gotten this far.
Yeah,
it's everything's okay. Crocodile's beaten. Like we just kind of get to see everything kind of back to normalcy, or as close as to normal as you can get with the Straw Hats around.
What I love about these set of chapters before we even get into it is just you've had this high stress situation for so long, and it really does, reading through these chapters, feel like just a relief.
It really does.
Like I could just feel my tension kind of going away as I'm reading through this. It's like, oh, this is nice.
It feels so satisfying.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Oda is really letting this section breathe. And I feel like for all of the big arcs, he really does do a good job of like, okay, the problem has been solved, let's just kind of take a little bit of a breather before we move on to the next thing. And that's what I feel like that's what the next solid handful of chapters are all about.
Yeah, it feels nice because, in real time is roughly 5 to 10 weeks, depending on how things go for until we get the next big arc.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty huge. But either way, let's actually talk about these chapters. And with chapter 211, King. And we're back to Hachi, who is just living large. He got the Macros treasure because he just robbed him blind. He has the giant mushroom octopus. He has the special sauce. And Cammy and the Starfish are with him. Despite him making a trade for, getting into human trade, or I guess mermaid trade.
Yeah.
Things are going all right for him.
I have a feeling, the title of this, there's no way she'll turn me down. Like, I feel like this isn't going to go your way, buddy. But you know what? You've got the material treasures. You've got, I guess you've got the stuff to. I don't know.
Got new friends, I guess. But
yeah, he's living large. He's living large.
I think he's due for an L soon, though, because
yeah.
I mean, it was feeling good seeing him make all that trade quest, but again, it's kind of hard to get over the fact that he traded Cammy for a recipe.
Yeah. And I feel like there has to be some sort of lesson of this is not what you do to impress a lady, or something to that effect.
Right.
But keep trying, Hachi. You're on the right path, sort of.
It's getting close, so we'll see how it goes. Last time we had Vivi's voice break through thanks to the rain, and everybody finally stopped fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a lot of pent-up frustrations here, as we see. It's like, you can't just erase everything that happened. It's not over yet. We saw the king destroy Nanohana with our own eyes. The royal army shot Koza. How do we forget about all of that? Like, our friends want revenge. And that's when Shaka, being a boss, comes out bleeding and just looking so rough. He was passed out in the sand, in the area that became sand. How the hell did he survive?
Yeah, no, seriously. And speaking of how the hell did he survive?
Yeah, exactly. He's telling the soldiers to throw it down. And we saw him before, but hey, Igaram finally makes an appearance. Like, you kind of forgot about it because I swear it was like 20 to 30 chapters before when he...
It was a while ago that they had because he basically just kind of showed up in Alabarna to be like, hey, he's alive. And then we're not going to do anything with that. And now we're doing something with that.
Yeah, we get to do something with that because, hey, he has the child that saw Mr. 2 impersonating the king. And everybody's shocked that Igaram's alive. And there's the boy. And he's like, yes, it was it was all imposters. Yeah, everybody was imposters. Somebody's manipulating us. Koza, after getting shot, God knows how many times at this point, also wakes up and says,
also still alive.
Hey, we've been played for fools. So
yeah, it's nice that Koza now knows the whole story, and he's
and that has
as the leader of the rebels. Blah, he's the one who is able to be like, all right, like that's we're done.
Throw down your weapons, and everybody finally does it. It's like, oh no. But Vivi rushes down from the clock tower and tries to find everybody else, and they're gone, and they're already trying to take get going. They're all just beaten up. It's like walk, and they're just dragging Usopp after all he's been through.
Yeah, Usopp's been getting dragged a lot. Not metaphorically dragged, though I guess to an extent, but physically dragged all over the place.
You can just see how just messed up everybody is, and shock of
wow.
all shock, we see the king rescuing Luffy from the wreckage.
Yeah, it's surprising because last time we saw them, we just saw like all of the crumbling wreckage fall on them. I have no idea how they got out of there.
Yeah, I have no idea. And good on, Cobra, stronger than you'd think, because remember, he's carrying a guy after his shoulders were impaled by nails.
Yeah, maybe his shoulders are numb. He can't feel anything at this point.
Good point. The king's just like, who are you guys? And he's like, that guy belongs to us.
It's like, oh, yeah, he's ours.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you're the pirates who brought Vivi back. And it just like Vivi shows up, says Papa, and of course get a big reaction to Sanji. He's like, you're Vivi's father? So
yep.
Cobra's like, hey, I was prepared to die, but he saved me. Even after battering he suffered in the duel with Crocodile, he carried out 2 people from the rubble. So Luffy saved Cobra, and we can assume Nico Robin, because she was the only other one down there.
Yep. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's something to be mentioned way later, because it's not even brought up again. It's just a little thing at that point.
Yeah, easy to forget.
And fortunately, we have Chopper on hand, who's been able to neutralize the poison already. But he needs medical attention. Everybody does.
Yeah, all of you do. Understatement of the century.
Yeah, but Zora says, "Hey, don't mind us. Go back to the square. The rebellion's over, and the king and the princess need to address the people." Even Usopp's being smart about all this. And everybody's encouraging them. It's like, just go and don't tell them that we did this. We're pirates, so we can't get mixed up in politics. So, we're just going to go to the palace and rest.
Yeah, it's definitely something where a lot of One Piece arcs, especially up to this point, where like they've done a good deed, but they still kind of can't take credit for it. I don't know. I feel like that is how a lot of these stories have ended up to this point, and it is always interesting the way that they've just like, we'll see it more as we're go further on in the wrap up phase of Alabasta. But that is something that I found like an interesting bit of like consistency. They've
never been able to take credit for anything, despite all they've done. But the people they've saved know it. But but only a select few, and it just sort of leaves it at that. And I don't know, there's something just relieving about seeing them just as soon as Vivi and Cobra are gone, they just all pass out.
Yeah.
It's like the exhaustion finally hitting him. That's what I mean about just that feeling. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, seriously.
Exhale, basically.
Yes. Whew, after many hard-fought battles.
So everybody finally realizes that it was all Crocodile behind it. And the Navy shows up along with Toshigi, who just says, we found a rainmaking ship registered to the Baroque Works Corporation, loaded with dance powder. So as the leader of the criminal organization Baroque Works and of one of the 7 warlords of the sea, Crocodile has been revoked of his license to seize enemy ships and has been stripped of all rank and authority forever.
That is...
Yeah.
He has lost everything.
Yeah.
That
all
is
the power gone.
Yeah, end of movie, like, all right, we're take him in, boys.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's something satisfying about just seeing this rain fall, Karoo looking up and just sort of taking in the water. Even though the one with the alcohol, having a drink with the Supersonic Duck Squadron.
Yes.
And getting to see all the Baroque Works members knocked out. That's, I don't know. There's something satisfying about that. But Bon Clay runs off just saying, "Can't just you wait."
Foreboding.
Yeah. Koza's just like, how can we make up for this? Like, we've screwed up. Cobra, being a good king, is like, hey, we all have regrets. We've lost all this major stuff and gained nothing for it, but we have to move forward and put the tragedy behind us because no one can undo the past, but we must overcome the war's tragedies and live on.
It's a good speech.
Good speech. Gets everybody smiling. Gets Chaka crying because he's just like, yes, this is a good man. I follow this man.
I'm not worthy.
And that crowd shot of Long Live Alabasta.
Yeah, that's great. That feels, and then that little narration at the end, along with those battles never mentioned in the pages of history, it finally came to an end.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah, that feels like the official, just like end to the conflict.
Yes, it is.
All the sort of the loose ends have been addressed.
Done, and it's cathartic.
It is extremely cathartic. What'll come a long way.
Yeah, we have. So let's see some of this relaxation, some way to come down from all this now that it's officially over. With chapter 212, Some Justice, with a look at, hey, here's what Octopaco's up to, getting a ride from these two fish and checking herself out in the mirror, I guess. While doing her nails.
That's a lot of nails to do when you've got 6 arms.
That is true. That's a lot of upkeep. Going? But yeah,
I guess we'll have to see.
There it is. It's time to check in on Smoker. It's been a long time since we've seen him. Leave Nanohana. And got somebody asking him was like, "Hey, you didn't use dance powder, did you?" And he's like, "No, give me credit." I wouldn't do that. The king was able to end the fighting without using dance powder, so why should I? This other person is wondering, like, when do you care about others? Like, is your heart getting soft? And he's just like, shut up.
It's a very familiar relationship. It seems that these two have.
We get to meet Black Cage Hina, who you might remember from Django and Full Body's title pages. This is the girl that they were like, oh my, about.
Just for a little bit. She had a little bit of a cameo, and here she is, God, what, like some 30, 40 odd chapters later?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's cool to see, that I guess this is probably our first, like, major intersection, maybe, with the, well, no, I guess we had the buggy stuff.
Yeah, we had the buggy stuff. It just goes to show that it's still, those intersections are still happening. The stuff that happened with Django kind of matters, if only for introducing a character.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it matters a whole lot, but it is definitely one of those, like, gives credence to the idea that One Piece is like a living, breathing world where even if things are sort of out of sight of Luffy and the Straw Hats, like, things are always moving.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of mortified, though, because they're using her entire elite squadron to look for a single ship. And Smoker's just like, hey, we go way back. You do me a favor. And that's when we get her sort of speech thing where she just likes to refer to herself in the third person. Yeah.
Which is, I think, fairly common in Japanese media, and I feel like is generally reserved for, like, younger, childlike characters. So seeing it in this sort of, like, grown woman, it's just like, it's a little odd. It's funny, but a little odd.
Yeah, that's kind of her quirk. It's just sort of like, whatever to me. But there you go. They found the dance powder ship. They're towing it back. They got
very inconspicuous.
Yes. Never going to notice it. Completely at odds. But they flip a coin to see if she actually follows Smoker's orders. She loses, and it's just like, well, how does Tashigi put up with you?
Yeah.
And speaking of Tashigi, really changing on a dime, not a dime here, but just sticking to a certain conviction of hers.
Yeah.
Where her men are arguing, this is our best chance to capture them. And she just says, no. I forbid you. You're just not going to happen. They don't even explain why at this point. It's just, I forbid you.
Tashigi's following her own justice.
Yeah. And we'll get into that, of course. But we get a reunion between Vivi and Koza, and he's like, I'll be fine. and don't you worry about my old man, even though he got hit by that thing. He's stubborn. He'll be fine. And besides, after my wounds heal, I'm heading straight back to Yuba so I can let you know how we're doing. And just get this celebration across the entire country. Like for the first
See
time
all
in
the
3 years, it's raining.
Oh man, it's funny that rain is so symbolically like kind of used for really sad stuff whenever that happens in media. But it's sort of a nice contrast, having the story set up around it not raining, and then finally getting the rain, and it's just being so happy, and so satisfying.
It's symbolic of that release, all these pent up feelings and frustrations for this country for 3 years. Finally,
even the Kung Fu Jugongs are celebrating.
Yeah, the Jugongs are celebrating, and good on them. Still protecting the merry-go, or the going merry. Sorry, and get to see that yes, indeed. The old man has lived, and he's just smiling.
Yeah. See, just that shot of him with the shovel in the foreground, and just like the shot from below, seeing the rain come down from on high. It's beautiful.
It's like, it's just 3 years. That's all it took.
That's all it took.
And apparently it rained for days.
Yeah.
Getting all this natural rain and everybody laughing. I love the kid opening his mouth and just swallowing so much water.
That's so adorable.
It's great. But we go back to the palace and everybody's passed out in their beds. I love these sleeping positions for everybody. And the only one naturally sleeping is Nami.
Of course. Is that... I can't tell. I think that's Usopp just like sleeping ass up.
Yeah, Usopp is up. Luffy has his hand on Zoro's bed. Zoro has his foot on Sanji's bed, maybe implying that he kicks Sanji off his bed.
Oh, it's a great detail.
Yeah, which is just kind of appropriate. But Vivi's watching over them as she watches the rain, and she just wants to keep watching it. And she's reminiscing about Pal with Igaram. He says he's the noblest warrior they've ever known. I wish I could have thanked him. It's like, that's the greatest tribute. It's like, you know what?
Aww.
It's a good way.
Nice.
It's well handled.
Don't forget those we've lost along the way.
Exactly. Skip another day. Go to Tamarisk, Alabaster's eastern port, where Tashigi and Smoker finally meet up. She just says, hello, but I'm tired. I'm going to turn in now. And just doesn't even really say anything to Captain Hina.
Yeah.
But Smoker says, "Hey, good work. I heard about the Straw Hats." And she's just like, "Hey, forgive me. I gave aid to the pirates and I let them go and I could have captured them. It was inexcusable." And he's like, "Hey, don't apologize. You followed your sense of justice, right?" And I love this because you think that's what she was doing. It's
yes.
Like, no, I had no choice. And it's Crocodile's words that actually affected her.
Yeah.
Losers shouldn't boast about enforcing justice. The sea favors the strong. All she could do was tell Luffy where to go in order to stop Crocodile. She couldn't do anything herself. So with no time to go, I could only help him. And justice demanded it. Not my choice.
This is a great scene.
It makes her motivation so much more complicated than just they did the right thing and I wanted to help them. They deserve to be free. It's just like, no, my shame kept them free.
Yes. And that you really see that frustration in her expression and just the complicated feelings of having to being beat by a pirate and having to help pirates beat a pirate.
And Smoker has done something interesting. It's like, hey, you're thinking you're dealing with run-of-the-mill pirates, and then they do something out of the ordinary. So it's either shape up or ship out. Grow strong or perish. He's even asking her whose idea was it to come here anyway. And it's of course, hers. Calls her a fool because a soldier doesn't cry over something like this. You got to get stronger. And she's, of course, full on tears and just screams out, "I will," which...
Yeah.
Man. I love getting to see more of this interaction between Smoker and Tashigi.
This is definitely the most complicated the Navy has been up to this point in the manga. Mm-hmm. Just the most amount of moral complexity, and sort of Oda using that sort of Smoker and Tashigi, and we'll see it with Smoker here in a bit too, but just the sort of the positions that they're in and having it kind of them beginning to question their own moral standing. It's great stuff. It really makes it just more than a simple pirates good and Marines are bad. Everybody kind of has to make up their own mind about those things.
Yeah. I love how he tells the men, it's like, "I wish you guys had as much gut as she does. Now get on board." and that's when he gets a transmission from headquarters where they congratulate him and Tashigi for capturing Crocodile, and they want to award him medals and promote him a rank. And it's like, wait a second, we weren't we didn't you get the report? We didn't defeat Crocodile.
Backdoor shady deals.
Yeah, it's like the Straw Hat Pirates did. They fought their butts off. And Hina's immediately like, don't waste your breath. Government doesn't want the truth out because what would people think if they found out that pirates saved Alabasta?
Yeah, she's got a point.
Yeah. And she's like, you cannot refuse. What do you think will happen if you defy your superiors? And I love this line is defeat Crocodile us? Tashiki's over there crying about it because she couldn't. So tell the pencil pushers a message. Shove off.
That's great.
And this is why Smoker's awesome.
He cares more about Tashigi than he does for the brass.
Yeah.
And that, such
or his own rank. Like,
yeah,
because we've met so many Navy men that'll be like, yes. Oh, of course I did.
Yeah. I love seeing this side of Smoker in particular, and just the sort of like, there's this bit of defiance in that he's, again, I feel like the lesson here from the Marine's perspective of the story is just to like believe what you see with your own eyes, and make of that of you will.
It's really good stuff, and
yeah,
it's why Smoker was always a favorite of mine when I first watched it. So it's good to see him evolve a bit more. And honestly, I don't even know when he next shows up. I can't remember for the life of me.
I don't remember either. Honestly,
it'll be a fun surprise when that happens.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and move on to chapter 213, VIP, where we get another 2-page spread, properly formatted this time. Thank you very much. And just a fun scene.
A bunch of flying pigs.
Yeah, flying pigs. Everybody's sort of eating. I like Nami and her glasses and
this is a good look.
Hair tied. It's a fun look. Seeing everybody together again. Even Karu in the back as it gets parachuted in. That's fun.
Yeah. Aww.
But into the chapter itself, it's time to see how the Straw Hats are doing at the palace. And right off the bat, we get this doctor marveling at the compound that Chopper's created. So innovative and logical. It's brilliant.
Chopper's just completely shocked.
He's talking to me, and Phoebe's like, "Oh, Chopper's a doctor from Drum Island." And man, I've been a physician for 40 years, but I've never knew techniques such as this existed. And it's just like, oh, shut up, you fool. Quit gawking. Go away. He pulls up a chair.
Chopper, of course, can't take a compliment.
Nope. Just grinning like crazy. It's pretty great. But Vivi still taking care of a sleeping Luffy as Alabasta begins repairing itself. They got boards. Everybody's talking with each other. It's like a nice sense of peace amongst there as Usopp and Sanji come back with some supplies.
I love this little comment, Usopp remarking on the people rebuilding. It's like, wow, these people sure are tough. And then Sanji, that's because the princess is so beautiful. There's a connection? Sure.
And then somebody's like, it looks like somebody kicked their way through all these doors or smashed through all these walls. Yes. Let's go over this way.
The fact that they specifically call it out as kicking is what makes it's just like, oh, wow, somebody must have kicked all the way through.
Who could do such a thing? Let's go away. And of course, Zoro, in his usual post-battle thing, is like, I got to concentrate harder, so I got to be able to draw on that power at any time, or I'm not really any stronger. So now he's just holding up boulders with his injured arms.
Yeah, hey. Which comes back as a gag, like in the next couple of pages.
All right. And Nami's being treated to the library. He's being given a bunch of books from Cobra since he's already read them all. And I love this joke. It's like the Navy's like, hey, if you're harboring pirates, that's a serious offense. And he's like, I don't know any pirates. They're not here. Go away. And then Sanji and Usopp walk by. He's like, hey, Chaka. Hey, welcome back. I'm telling you, they're not here.
It's great. What proof do you have that pirates are here? Walk right through.
Well, I'm pretty sure that guy there is in that Luffy poster, but guess they didn't notice the back of his head.
Of course.
Of course. But hey, Luffy finally wakes up and immediately wants to know, where's his hat? Where's food? That's
yes,
it.
In that order.
Yeah. Where's my hat? Where's food? Where's my hat?
Great priorities.
Unfortunately, he was found in front of the palace, and he's all feeling better. He's like, apparently he had a high fever, and everybody's really worried for him, but he's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. And he slept it off.
Yeah, he slept it off. You can tell how injured he was because he needed a 5-minute nap in order to get strong enough to beat Crocodile again, to actually beat Crocodile. But a couple days here to actually get fully healed.
Mm-hmm.
And Chopper's giving Zoro a hard time because, like, where are your bandages? And, I'm your doctor. He's like, you've been off training. Stop that. It's like, I can't have bandages. They hinder my movements.
Don't move. Really, really fun character dynamics, and now that everybody's awake and moving and sort of recovered.
Mm-hmm. I also love that I'm gonna sleep for 3 whole days. I missed 15 meals, and he's like,
yeah. I love the little like ching ching ding sound effect, like he's doing the mental math in his head.
And I love it's like calculated that fast and at 5 meals a day.
That's so good.
And that's when we get this other character. The captain is awake, so dinner will be ready in 30 minutes. Can you wait? Since meals taste better with eaten with friends. And Yuffie's like, hey, Igram's alive. It's like, oh, you're dressing up as a woman again. It's like, no. This is Terracotta, Igram's wife and the palace housekeeper. And I love this joke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Terracotta's awesome.
Yes, very, very. I love the side comment from Zoro, just like, I heard of lookalike couples, but and then like the fact that wait, so how? I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Igram really loves himself.
Yeah, and Oda's really piling on the jokes in this chapter. There's like a joke on almost every page.
Pretty much every panel, because
Multiple
they bring
jokes.
in all that fruit, and Luffy scarfs it in one bite.
It's just like, was that magic? It's just poof, gone.
And we got a challenge throw down. It's like, hey, lady, I'll be eating 3 days worth, okay? He's like, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years. No young man's appetite can intimidate me. And then we see the gorging at just how much food he's eating.
All this food. And all of the palace guards just like, oh, not a shred of dignity.
And all the cooks shuffling by. Is like, hey, you're in the way. Terracotta being like, he's not going to beat me, even though he's something else. And everyone else is like, eat quicker. Luffy's going to eat it all.
I love the pure unhinged chaos of the scene. Just the big panel of everybody at the table.
And Usopp gets Luffy back for stealing food by putting some hot pepper sauce on the rice ball, which causes him to spit fire.
Yep.
Eyelashes is here somehow.
Eating with a fork despite not having fingers.
I'm impressed. Eyelashes is multi-talented, we'll say.
Yeah.
And hey, even Sanji's picking up some new dishes. Kanafa, oven-baked noodles. And Luffy's trying to talk to the king.
He's got an attempt at conversation here.
Oh, bubba da hibwub, bub, what? Basically, it's like, oh, you're the king's dad. The king, huh? So that means you're Vivi's dad. It's like, well, we'll chat afterwards. Like, okay, and he's just sucking in all the pasta and meat.
Like, we'll try this again later.
Yeah, but I also love this moment. There's just like they're animals, and then Vivi's like, how can Vivi laugh like that? But as they continue watching, they're just laughing. Luffy's back to his fat Luffy stage. Good on Usopp for balancing all those plates on his nose, and just all that's unhinged laughter. It's a feel good moment.
It is really, really. And I love the sort of slow conversion of the guards going from disgust to surprise to laughter.
Yeah.
And just seeing everybody laugh. Oh, it's so fun. It's
you can't not have a good time with Luffy. It's impossible. Yeah. But then it's time for the baths. This huge bathhouse, pride of the palace. There you go. So there's some Usopp and Luffy butt.
Yes. You get to see the Chopper without his hat, which is...
It's definitely weird to see. I also love the little... I have a little appreciation seeing the minor scars on Zoro's arms. Because these guys were messed up, and 3 days later, everybody's pretty much in good shape. Even Cobra, with, again, impaled through the shoulders. Not even a scar. Like, people heal quick in the world of One Piece.
They really do. It just... You take a nap, grab some food, grab some booze, and you're good to go.
Yeah. And Cobra's like, well, I was going to have dinner be a formal occasion, but it was a little lively. It seems like you turn everything into a party. And immediately Usopp and Luffy are playing in the baths. Pretending they're training underwater.
I also like this little detail that Zoro's sort of washing Chopper, just kind of like washing his back a bit. It's cute.
Yeah, it's a cool little bonding moment for the two of them.
Well, and as cute as this is sort of when this whole scene just takes a nosedive right south.
It's a bathhouse scene in a Japanese production.
You know what's coming.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And to be honest, compared to the anime, I feel like it's toned down.
Oh yeah,
anime isn't even that bad.
Yeah, it's really not. So we'll get to it. There's this exchange here where Sanji rolling up to Igaram, and I did get a chuckle out of this. It's like, so where are the women's baths? And he's like, are you mad? As if I tell you that Princess Vivi is in the, and then just Cobra's like, they're beyond that wall, which is funny. But the more you like,
it's like spy on my
jokes
daughter.
the jokes about Cobra sort of playing along get worse the more you think about it.
Yeah, the best.
Like it's already kind of gross, and you're just kind of like, oh no. And they sort of play like, I like how Oda is playing with her expectations a bit here, and I think at least in some of, I think there's like another sort of variation on the joke where they sort of assume the worst about him, but he's like, no, not that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this first one is just kind of like, oh, he's just
he just really wants to see Nami.
Yeah, like so okay, all right,
sure. I mean, naturally they're covered up with the towels. Well, yeah, except for Nami's top, but she's getting her back washed. And I just like this conversation between the two of them. It was just like, I wish there was a ship with a huge bath like this. And Vivi's just like, hey, it's a big world. There were giants and dinosaurs and cherry blossoms in the snow. I'm sure there's all kinds of things. And Nami just gives her a look and says, hey, I'll wash your back. And that's when Vivi spots all the guys looking over, and I love the nonchalant look on Luffy's face. Like, it's just like, whatever. Igaram's looking.
He's I feel like he's trying not to, but he can't help himself. But Luffy's definitely the only one I truly believe is just sort of whatever about it.
Yeah, I do like the little detail that Chopper, as soon as he turns around, Chopper's immediately trying to hide. Yes,
and he's doing this dumb sideways hide thing.
Yes, I think there's a better build up to this joke in the anime. But
really?
Just because it feels like it just seems immediate. Those guys. Happiness punch, and then that'll be 100,000 berries each. I think in the anime she charges them, then does the happiness punch.
Oh, I do not remember how that played out in the anime at all. But I definitely think, like, I mean, for what is basically just kind of like 2 pages of fan service, like the sort of twist onto the joke is very in character for Nami. It's not like the kind of like, ew, boys thing, creep that tons of
money making opportunity
to do. Yeah, exactly. So, Nami's ready. Just like, all right, I'm gonna fleece you for all you're worth.
Pretty much. And it's not even like sexualized at all. Like, there it is.
Yeah. Maybe perhaps the start of a worrying trend. I'll put it that way.
True. And that's when she reveals that they're going to leave tonight. There's no reason for us to stay now that Luffy's up and the Navy's starting to gather near the port. So if we stick around much longer, we're going to be in major danger. We go around back to the others.
Oh, yeah, this is what I was talking about.
Doing the nosebleed is just like, thank you. It's like, you dirty old man. It's not about that.
That one got a laugh out of me.
Yeah, that one is good. That's some good timing. He bows before them, and Zoro's just like, you're King's supposed to bow like that, and you never lose your head. And just like, hey, a man's title comes off with his clothes. We're all the same in this bath. So I'd like to say, as a father and a citizen of this land, thank you.
Just a nice, heartfelt thank you after all they've been through.
It's a good moment.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, we're leaving. That's a good idea.
Luffy's ready to have one more meal and then we'll go.
But then we find out something else. Turns out that Chaka and Igaram have discovered new bounties.
Yeah, Boy.
Roronoa Zoro, 60 million berries to start with, and Luffy with 100 million berries.
100 million. Remind us again, because I actually don't remember off the top of my head. Arlong, he was like 60 million or like 40, 50, something like that?
I think it was like 35 or something 30. Like that. I don't remember Arlong's bounty off the top of my head. Let's see. Arlong's bounty was 20,000.
20,000. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. 20 million. Sorry. 20. Not 20,000.
20 million. Yeah. I was going to say like
the 20. Sorry. 20 I was thinking the thousands. But yeah, 20 million. But
20
still,
million and
three
what was
times.
crocodiles?
Crocodile was, I believe, 80.
Okay, wow, yeah, so just straight up, just right past crocodile.
Yeah. Because he took down Crocodile, so it's like, this man is
Yeah, that makes sense.
dangerous. So
Yeah,
Luffy now has the largest bounty we've ever seen.
absolutely, yes. And I mean, Igaram here at the end of the chapter, in no uncertain terms, there's no turning back now that you've defeated one of the 7 warlords. Like, things are escalating.
Which in my mind immediately put up as like, okay, I have an idea where this is going. We're taking out all the warlords of the sea.
I feel like that. My first read through of the series, that was definitely my first assumption.
Yeah, it's that, like, okay, we're just going to be taking out all these warlords, and
7's a good clean number.
It all makes sense, but it is a fun way to end. It's just like, dang, we didn't even get to see the discussion. It's just bam, because I feel like in the anime they do show the discussion that leads to Zoro getting a bounty. But I'm not sure if it comes up in here or not.
Yeah, I might have to look into that.
We do have an SBS, and we got somebody asking that if he can draw everybody with his feet, and not as good as the others.
Yeah, he just does Luffy, but
yeah. Not quite as good with his feet.
All 6, no thanks.
Yeah, I understand that one. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into chapter 214, Strategy to Escape the Sand Kingdom. And Octopaco has come across a village of headband-wearing catfish that their place has been crushed by a shipwreck.
It's so specific.
Yeah.
Very specific.
And she doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, she's like pointing and laughing.
Yeah, it's like these scrubs.
All right, that's a show of character for sure.
Yep, that indeed. But getting back into it, Igaram is still rushing to warn them, but they're all gone. Mm-hmm. Only Vivi is there, and she says they've gone to sea because that's where pirates belong. And then we get our boys back.
Yeah, I actually completely forgot about this.
I'm kind of curious how the anime handles it, because I know we don't get a Django and Full Buddy episode.
They don't show the cover story.
Yeah, there's no. They're just there now, which is
if you weren't paying attention to the cover stories at all, like this would be super out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, sure, but
yeah.
I love how he's now known as Django the Turncoat.
That's great.
I also love he's like, all right. Pirates are low down, dirty scum. But didn't you used to be a pirate? It's like, oh, that's right. Want to dance? They just start dancing.
That's professing their love for Lady Hina.
Yes. But all of Alabaster's ports have been sealed tight by 30 ships and support forces.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be kind of hard for them to escape.
But they still haven't. They was like, hey, the ship of the Straw Hats was supposed to be in Aramalu, but it's missing. And they're like, have they already gotten away? It's like, no, we've been guarding the mouth of the Sandora River. So that's not possible. All right, let's search inch by inch and see if we can find it. But the ship has not been found yet. And Django and Full Buddy come up with a bunch of flowers they picked, which is why they were late. And she just says, no thanks.
They're just rejection.
Yes, rejection. Hey, we're going to go destroy the Straw Hats. But hey, the Straw Hats, we hate those guys. Let's do this.
It's funny. Like, I don't know if they had ever talked about the Straw Hats, like if that had ever come up in conversation at any point, but just like the look that they both give them, like, the Straw Hats.
Curse those guys.
They have individually done us both dirty.
Yes. Oh, goodness. And they have the supersonic duck squadron taking them back to the ship. And Luffy's still eating.
Yep. I'm surprised he doesn't get like motion sick trying to eat on a duck.
Oh no, he is determined.
Yeah.
Sanji even got some recipes from terracotta, so she'll be able to make some of that stuff. Got some local spices. Yeah. I like seeing them getting equipped with new stuff. It's kind of like a D&D campaign.
Yeah. I don't think it ever gets like addressed, but sort of that background knowledge of just like, hey, we went somewhere new and brought something along with us. Some new knowledge.
But Nami is feeling a little down. It's like she left her friend, and
well,
it's no use brooding. I know you two were close, but cheer up. And she's like, all right, I'll let it go for Vivi's sake. The 1 billion berries Igaram promised. That's what she was all upset about.
I legitimately forgot about that
I
promise.
did too.
Yeah, that's a good way to bring that back.
She's like, what's the big deal? Vivi's going to be fine. She's a princess. We're back with Vivi. There's no use telling them. Shouldn't we let them know about the bounties? Karu couldn't catch up, and it wouldn't change anything. The news will just make them happy and won't make any difference to them.
Wow.
So, which, yes, that is exactly right. Tomorrow, Vivi's speaking to the entire kingdom. So Vivi's going to sleep with Karu, and Igram's like, something's up. She's taking this far too calmly.
Well, I love this sort of like, he's just, at one point, he's so anxious over it that he can't sleep, and then just, one panel transition and he's out.
Yeah, exactly. That face is good, though, with him in bed.
Yeah, that's, I've felt that. It's that overthinking before the big day.
Igram's pretty great.
Yeah.
And Vivi's just sort of like, it's so quiet. No cook trying to prevent midnight fridge raids. No swordsman training all night. No pillows being thrown by dozing navigators. Just us.
It's kind of sad, honestly. Like, it's just, man, she feels so lonely after being with the complete chaos with the Straw Hats for so long.
Yeah, you get so used to it. And we get a little flashback where they got a transponder snail from somebody named Bonchan trying to talk to them. Says he's a friend. And Luffy's like, yeah, let's take the call. That's what it's revealed. But of course, Bonchan is Bon Clay. And Sanji immediately hangs it up.
Yes, Sanji just, that face, he's just like, like, no.
It's just like, is that you, Swan? It's like, oh, it's you, Strong Hat. You're strong. You surprise me. Don't call me Mr. 2. If the Navy intercepts this, I'll be in big trouble. But you just said it yourself.
Of course, yep.
Crap.
No self-awareness. They're just getting straight to the point here.
He's like, hey, I've taken your ship. He's like, hey, where are you now? How dare you take our ship? He's like, hey, I thought we were friends. It's upstream on the Sandora River. So.
Yeah, wow, it really does sound like a trap.
It does. It's like, that's why it wasn't found, is because Bon Clay took it. All right.
It's such an interesting wrinkle to this to this little end of the arc.
Especially because he's claiming they're friends, and you're like, can we trust him? It's like, well, we were friends.
It really sounds so suspicious.
Yeah, but I guess we got to go to him. So if it's a trap, we'll just clobber him.
Yeah, Sanji's got a good point.
And that's when Vivi brings up she doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know whether to go with him or not. And Naomi says, hey, all right, we'll give you 12 hours to make up your mind. Once we recapture our ship, we'll make a short stop at the East Port at exactly noon. We won't be able to drop anchor, though. So if you want to join us, that'll be your one and only chance. And if you're there, we'll welcome you as a fellow pirate. That's why she's there and so calm. So now she has to decide, is she going to join them or not?
Yeah.
And she's like, I was never bored as a princess. And even though the rebellion is over, there's tough times ahead for the kingdom. And she's like, if I go, you'll come too, won't you, Karu? And just sort of waiting. It's like, is she going to go with him or not? That's the big question. Man. But we get back to Bon Clay, who is showing off on the ship, and they start unloading. he says goodbye to the supersonic duck squadron. I hope we meet again someday. Bon Clay is in full-on silly mode. And he's like, you tricked us. It's like, I didn't trick you. I didn't know who you were either. So can we let bygones be bygones? And he's like, hey, step aside. It's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I love how casual. Just like, excuse me.
He's just talking to Luffy while everybody loads up. He's like, hey, if we're not enemies, then what are you doing with our ship? It's like, oh, if I hadn't been aboard, the Navy would have captured it. Yeah, it's totally surrounded. So you saved a going Mary from the Navy. It's like, why did you do that? Because you're my friends.
The teary-eyed thumbs up, the twinkle.
Yeah.
And then they just start dancing together.
And this is why Bon Clay's the best.
The best.
So everything's loaded. And that's when Zoro points out, it's like, oh, so the Navy's blockade kept you from getting off the island too, huh? It's like, you thought you might need some allies.
Calling him out.
Yeah, it's like, yes, in these perilous times, but let's join forces and fight together for friendship's sake. And they're still with us. Like, I love it. The three kids, Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper.
So easily won over to friendship.
Yes, and then there's Bon Clay's crew.
Yep.
Yep, they've located the ship and Hina's ready for battle.
Oh boy.
Oh boy indeed. Final chapter, 215. Last Waltz. And Hachi and the others come across this same village. Everybody's crying. They're all starving now. What are these poor catfish going to do with their village crushed by this sunken ship?
Hachi, do the right thing.
Yes. He's looking at him and just sort of shocked. And of course, Kami and the starfish are both like moved to tears.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Hachi has a better heart than Octopaco. And then we get to see Vivi as a pirate. Even got her own unique Jolly Roger.
Yeah, and she has her own little like Nami style tattoo too.
Yeah, the true sign of her becoming a hoodlum in Japan.
Yes. This was all a nightmare by Igaram.
Yes. No. And that's when Igaram burst in and Vivi's getting fitted for her dress.
Yep.
It's just, and Terracotta like, hey, don't barge in without knocking. Vivi's just dressing. It's like, oh, sorry, good morning. And it's like, get out.
And then, of course, the extra wrinkle to this joke is Igaram coming up on Cobra, who has also been hit.
She's like, Terracotta's a fearsome woman. It's like, what were you doing? That is a good question. They never answer that. Like, what was he doing? Maybe to say how proud he was. I'm going to go with how proud he is because he seems like a good dad otherwise. I'm not going to go with the creep method.
I'm rooting for you, Cobra. I'm rooting for you.
Or maybe he had the same dream.
Yeah.
He just has Igaram to worry for him.
Yes.
But the square is already packed and her speech is scheduled at 10 o'clock. People are very eager. They've been waiting for 2 years for her coming of age ceremony since it normally would have been conducted when she was 14. Mm-hmm. But there it is. She's just not sure what to do. All she has to do is let everyone see how she's grown. And it's sort of a big symbolic thing. And the speech will even be broadcast via transponder snail to loudspeakers throughout the kingdom. That's when Chakra says that they've received report of fighting at the port. With the Navy involved, their hands are tied. They can't really help the pirates.
They've got to stay out of it.
And it is actually a much more desperate situation than I remember because...
Yeah, right. Like, oh, man, the poor Mary's just been impaled.
Yeah. Luffy's yelling, like, shoot some cannonballs at us. I'm like, what? And then I look down and it's like, see all the spikes. Like, oh, geez, they've found a way to stop Luffy.
Yeah. Like, there's holes in the mast. Like, oh, man.
Oh, the poor thing. Poor going
Seriously.
Mary. And they're just, like, there's not much they can do. Like, Zoro and Sanji are able to deflect some of them that comes right in. That's quite the impressive feat. Actually, no, it's Zoro and Bon Clay. Sanji and Bon Clay.
That's great.
Because they're both kicking.
Yeah.
Chopper's trying to stop the water from coming in as fast, but, they're outnumbered 8-1.
Woof. Yeah, look at that on the next page. Like, they are surrounded.
Mm-hmm. This is the Black Spear formation, and they are eating it up, Full Body and Django.
Yeah, this is his revenge. I love that sort of, like, they're kind of recognizing them,
Yeah, and, like, Luffy recognizes Django. Sanji does not recognize Full Body at all.
That's so funny.
And then all of a sudden they blow up. brother. It's like the other one crashes into it. Usopp, once again showing his magnificent cannon skills that he does not intend. It's like, wow.
Like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's like, but they got a gap in the formation, sail right on through, and that's when they find out that it's Black Cage Hina.
Oh, boy.
It's like, oh, boy, we got to get out of here quick.
Yep.
She's like, all right, no vessel exists that my Black Spear formation can't destroy, but don't let your guard down. So we're going to pull up alongside them, and the rest of you stay back. And if you get in my way, Hina will be very upset. Bon Clay's like, okay, this is our chance. We got to get out of here. We got to go. And he's like, if you keep sailing this way, they're going to sink us. It's like, no, we can't. We made a promise. We're going to go pick up a friend.
Oh, that just shocks Bon Clay.
Yeah. As that face when he hears this, for a friend? It's like the magic words.
Yes, it really is. Like, I don't know if anyone in this manga loves friendship more than Bon Clay loves friendship.
No, I don't think so. I really don't. And again, Oda showing off with these crowd shots.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of faceless crowds, but it feels packed.
It feels like a huge event. You can just sort of seeing it like go back into the distance.
We get to see Vivi fully dressed up and even get a glimpse of her mother.
Yeah.
Very much.
I forgot that she had a mom who was not alive.
Yeah. I got to kind of explain that.
Yeah,
and
just slid that in there.
She just tells Igaram and Cobra to sit down because she has something very important to tell them. But we don't learn what that is because we're back with the chaos of this fight with Hina. And Bon Clay, knowing the truth, knowing that they're risking their lives for their friend, how can we face ourselves if we abandon them now? So listen carefully. He's ready to. That crying. He is not an attractive person whatsoever. But dang it,
it's so heroic yet so silly awesome. Looking. Yeah.
So they split up. The duck ship is heading south. Probably a diversion, but it's like no. The Straw Hats are on the duck ship. The sheep is a decoy. And they spot Luffy on it. It's like, all right, follow after them, close the formation. They leave the Mary behind. Every other ship left the Mary behind. And she's like, 3 minutes.
It worked?
Yeah, it worked. And there it is. We get the Bon Clay version of everybody with him as Luffy, and then the pirate versions of everybody else as Zoro.
That's so good.
I love the Nami with a mustache and the fake nose on the fake Usopp.
It's great.
I love these costumes.
Wow. That's it's 50 Cent cosplay, you know?
You know what? You make it work when you got limited materials. Bon Clay's just like, hey, I'm a master of disguise and a friend of the Straw Hat Gang.
And the pose.
The doom. And it's like, you can stray from a man's path. You can stray from a woman's path, but you can't stray from the path of mankind. Scatter, my friends, to the true sky. Let us make it bloom. Oh, come my way. Shall we dance? And he is just like, no, I'm done.
The spear fire, they're jumping onto the ship.
It is like it's a full-on battle. Like we see the swan impaled, the fight going on between all of them all crying out, "We'll never forget you." Even Sanji is moved by it.
The sacrifice.
And it's just like this big explosion in the distance as the Mary takes off. Oh. And that's it. That's where we end off, is the sacrifice of Bon Clay.
What an arc for Bon Clay. The redemption.
The redemption. Because he was kind of into it as well. Like, he was gleeful about how they were tricking everybody and all that stuff. But dang it, if you're a friend, he is all about it.
Yes, absolutely, man. What a hero. I'm getting teary-eyed. It's good, man.
It's brilliant.
Tears of laughter, but tears all the same.
Well done, Bon Clay. You saved the Mary, and that's appreciated.
Yes.
Poor Mary.
Yeah, no, seriously. Oh, man. All of that just sustained damage.
That's something else. And Alabasta's not quite done yet, because we still got to figure out, is Vivi joining the crew? That's the big question that we're left with at this point. And that's where we're going to be ending things off with Alabasta. This arc is not far from being over, and we'll be in the next one. So
yeah, and we've got such a fun set of wrap-up chapters. Like wrap-ups are, I don't know, some of my favorite in One Piece, especially after just such the long build-up to such a bombastic finale, and now it feels so satisfying to see everything kind of right with the world, more or less, seeing everybody just kind of like goof off and have fun. It really is just kind of some of the best vibes in all of One Piece.
Yeah, it's so enjoyable. It's a way to sort of reset yourself. And exactly. I think that a story like this needs it, when it just builds up that tension so much, and you just get more time with the characters. And that's why I always found filler in One Piece, the One Piece anime, to be fun, because I just enjoyed being with the characters. So to get those moments is really wonderful at times, and it's a good feeling to have all that. And we'll just have to see how this all wraps up, whether Vivi joins the crew, and what might be in ahead for next time. Though I'm not going to say it quite yet, but we do have a surprise, not for the next episode, but for episode 45, and we'll talk about more about that one at the end of the next one. But yeah, something fun coming up that we want to talk about, and expand our One Piece journey a bit, I guess is the best way to say. So with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 211 to 215 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. I like I said at the beginning of the episode, I genuinely think by the time this comes out, I will be able to talk about it, but the timing is such that I'm like, I'm going to play it safe. So it will definitely be out by the next episode of the podcast. So if you want to see what the heck I'm talking about, just keep an eye out on my Twitter.
Perfect.
I think it'll probably be Thursday or Friday by the time I'll be able to talk about it.
Best be safe than sorry. So
exactly, yeah. I don't want to get fired.
No, we definitely don't want that to happen. So, yeah. And if you'd like to help us out more, especially if you get Brandon fired, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 216 to 220 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time and support us on Patreon. Bye.
My turn.
Thank you. What are you all doing over there?
Keeping. All right. It'll cost 100,000 berries each. Happiness? Punch!